Mike James Rock Show.
You're watching the Mike James Rock Show.
Hi, it's Mike from the Mike James Rock Show. Mr. Frank Turner has joined us for a
Hello.
chat. How's it going?
It's good. It's lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Yeah, not bad at all.
Excellent.
It's been roughly about 2 years, 18 months since we last spoke. I think
Yep.
at Reading, we were sat on a park bench in the
Yes.
press area. It was
Yeah.
hot and sunny.
Yeah, lovely.
And now you've come through and you've got a new album out. haven't you?
Yes. Well, out in less than a week.
Yes.
Yes, which is it's sort of like the nature of this business, as everybody knows. There's this odd time lag in it. We finished the record in January, and it's not out until the 4th of May.
Star Wars Day.
Star Wars Day, indeed. But and there's good reasons for it, promotional reasons and all the rest of it. But like by this point, every time. By this point in the schedule, I'm just like, get the bloody thing out. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of I'm just ready for it to be out now. It makes me sound like I'm pregnant, and I kind of am.
Was the tour booked before the release date was locked in for the album?
They were sort of. There is an interesting bit of power play that goes on between booking agents and labels. Let's just leave it at that, shall we say?
Yeah, no problem. Because I've just noticed you've already announced a tour for February next year.
Yes,
That's kind of like halfway through the cycle, you think?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. I mean, certainly that's kind of the next step for the UK, and pretty much all of this tour is sold out now. So it was kind of like, cool,
It's cool.
let's
Much
move
bigger
on up.
venues as well.
Yeah, definitely, which would be fun. I mean, I've done some tours at that level in this country before. I've done more tours at this level. They each have things to recommend them.
Yeah.
But it'll be exciting to be back in the big spaces, particularly Ali Pali, because I live just down the way.
Nice.
So I will be able to walk home between soundcheck and the gig. So I'm
And
quite
after the gig as
excited
well.
about. Yeah.
Go home to your own bed instead of a tour bus or
well,
hotel or something.
exactly. Yes, it's lovely.
So let's talk about the new album.
Yes.
Be More Kind. What a great title.
Thank you.
It's very apt for this kind of time of people's lives and things.
And I mean, I kind of nicked it. So,
right, okay.
well, I mean, I say that. Clive James is one of my favourite writers, and he is sadly terminally ill. Although it has to be said, he got given like 6 months to live about 4 years ago. So
he's still going on.
He's still
isn't he?
around, which is great news. But he's been writing poems about facing the end of his life, and one of them, Less on the Tenebre, features the lines, "I should have been more kind, it is my fate to find it out, but find it out too late." And I read that, and it just kind of like knocked me sideways. For a man who I consider to be one of the most intelligent and wise people that I've come across, to say that as the summation of his life lessons is just like, there's got to be something in that.
Facing your immortality as well, it's got to be quite grounding.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, so it started there, and I mean, immediately wanted that as a title for a song, and then the song sort of turned into a record. I mean, obviously, I'm in two minds about whether or not to call this a political record. Not because I particularly care either way, but just because there are days when, I mean, it's not a Rage Against the Machine record, do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it is very much about how people interact with each other. Maybe it's a social record. There we go.
Yeah,
Just social.
But you put a very British twist on it. The way you tell stories through your lyrics. It's a very quintessential
I can't
English
help
feel to
it.
No.
Just comes out that way. But I think that secretly one of the major themes of the record is sort of like is communication.
Yeah.
And social media, and the way that I feel like we have collectively sort of forgotten how to talk to each other properly.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
You know, I mean, something that it surprises people when they're reminded of this. Not least me as well, because all this directed at me as well. But like, you know, the point of debates used to be to try and persuade other people to come over to your side.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that on Twitter.
And now if you had a debate like in person, you'd have to go for counselling afterwards.
Yeah, but also it's just, you know, the essential problem, in my opinion, is that in social media we've accidentally built a machine for dehumanising our opponents. Because when you argue with somebody online, you don't see them. It's just so you can write anything you bloody want. And people say the worst shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like the kind of things you'd never say to somebody in person unless you were genuinely like not well.
Yeah.
It doesn't take an expert historian to know that any moment in a given society where people start dehumanising their opponents is a dangerous one.
Oh, I completely agree.
Yeah, so I think that collectively we need to have a conversation about this quite quickly, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that 45 minutes of rock and roll music is the answer to this, or indeed that the idea of Be More Kind is a panacea that's going to save the world's problems. But it's not a terrible first step.
It's putting the ethos out there, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's just
you know,
like,
and just you know, when you're having an argument with somebody, it's just sort of maybe they're having a bad day, maybe, or maybe you're the arsehole, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just trying to consider the humanity of the people you're arguing against. I think it's really important.
It is, and I guess coming together in a gig with people, it's that bonding. You can turn to the stranger next to you and you're both smiling and singing the same lyrics from the artist kind of thing.
Well, one of the things with that actually is so there's a song on the record called "Make America Great Again," which we put out, which is obviously a provocative piece of provocation, the title, to a degree, but it's supposed to be a kind of an open, sort of generous song in its way, about the fact that America, a culture that I absolutely adore, seems to, in my opinion, as an outsider, to be slightly losing its way. But when I finished that song, a lot of my English friends were kind of like, well, initially they were like, "Oh, you're never going to play that song in America," and I'm like, "Well, of course I am. You can't write that song and then not play it. That's ridiculous." But then they were like, "Well, you'll be fine because no Trump fans are going to come to your shows," and in point of fact, they will actually, because we've toured with country bands and we've toured with kind of blue collar rock bands and all this kind of thing, and there's definitely a broader political spectrum at my shows than in the States, and I think that's good, because if you don't want Donald Trump to get elected again, which personally I don't, you need to find a way of talking to the people who voted for him last time and explaining why perhaps they shouldn't do that next time, rather than going, "You're all a bunch of fuckwits." Do you know what I mean? So, and this is a long point, sorry, I'm getting there, I promise.
Good.
But like at some point we have to have a civil conversation with people we disagree with, because the other option is essentially armed conflict, which I'm not in favour of. And if you can get two people with wildly different political views standing under the same roof, singing along with the same song, there's a beginning there.
Very much.
There's a start of a conversation.
Yes.
You found that initial kind of common ground that you can build a conversation on. And again, I don't want to sit here and say that I'm going to save the world by playing gigs. That's ridiculous. But I like the idea that maybe some people from different sides of the political divide could have a civil conversation on my shows. That makes me happy.
And your music it's very broad as well. It can relate. I don't want to. Well, okay. You can relate. You could probably get your music played on daytime Radio 1 and Radio 2. It appeals to different generations because they can all relate to certain aspects of where you're writing from.
Thank you. That's kind. I mean, one of my prouder bits of my CV is that I'm the only person who, in the same year, played the headliner stage at Download and played the Cambridge Folk Festival.
There you go.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Who else played at Download that year? That you?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but we were like headlining second stage, but and then we played Cambridge Folk as well the same year. I like that. It made me feel good.
That is cool. You mentioned the America Great video track.
Yeah.
I've watched the video that you did to it.
I had to get quite drunk before.
I was going to say, did you come up against any sort of animosity or
no, not
anything
really.
like that?
And I mean, I sort of slightly cheated by doing it in Austin during South by Southwest, which is really not a time when it's particularly controversial to be questioning of Donald Trump. But nevertheless, walking up to strangers on the street and asking their opinion on stuff doesn't come naturally to me.
No.
So we shot it outside my mate's bar, and every sort of 10 people I stopped in the street, I went and nipped inside for a quick stiff kind of courage, if you like. But we didn't really get hostility. We got quite a few people looking at what I was wearing and just being like, "Fuck no, dude! I'm not talking to you. Go away." But we had some wonderful people on it, and it was really fun and a really kind of diverse selection of people.
It seems to have encapsulated everything that I would think is great about America.
Well, that's it. That's my problem with the nativist movement in America, is that I think America is great.
Yeah.
Really great. And I say that as somebody who, I've been to 48 states now. I love America. I know it very well, and it's my favorite place in the world outside of my home country, easily. And the people wearing that stupid fucking hat and using that expression in a non-ironic way have misidentified what's great about America. It's just what are you talking about? I mean, and even opinions aside, they are just objectively incorrect about some things. This sort of yearning for a prelapsarian past of America that was defined by walls and borders is factually ahistorical.
Yeah.
America has always been an open immigrant society. You can, I suppose, advocate for that at some future point, but the idea that was how it used to be is just incorrect.
It is. most of the country is born from immigrants. They all come overseas from either Europe
and I think
or
the reason the song mentions Ellis Island is because I think that the carving on the base of Ellis Island, where it says "Give me your poor, your tired, and your needy," is one of the greatest humanitarian statements in history. And I think America collectively should stand up and point at that and say, "Yeah, check us out, we're great."
Yeah,
because it is great.
I think that's probably what Trump was trying to. I
think Trump was trying to promote his own brand, is what he was trying to do. Anyway, right.
would you turn the same question on UK audiences? Would you have a board with writing on like you've done in the American ones?
Yes, I mean, obviously I'm not aware particularly of anybody running around saying "Make Britain Great Again."
No, but it'd be nice to see what people think is great, because at the moment all the news stories are negative.
They are, yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's funny. Like a lot of people have asked about like why there's so much America focus on this record, and there's two reasons for it. First of all, I spend an awful lot of time in America. Yeah. And I was on tour in America in the summer of 2016 during the election campaign. I was there until the night before the election. I flew back. I played Washington DC the night before the inauguration. You know, like I was just around that a lot.
Exciting times, just to be as a bystander and watching.
Yeah, I mean, it was a sort of historical moment, certainly. But the second reason is that like, there's something about being an outsider to a situation which actually makes it easier to write about, because you have that degree of being able to step back and take a distance. And obviously there are many conflicting and divisive issues in British politics around Brexit and all the rest of it, and there's been an upsurge in xenophobia and racism, which I'm extremely sad and worried about. But I find it more difficult to sort of like directly address that in song, because I'm kind of in the middle of it, of the society that I'm trying to talk about. I mean, that's not to say there aren't plenty of bits of the record which are addressed to my own home society. Of course there are, there's loads. But it's just sort of, it's kind of easier. And then maybe that's cop out. I don't know, maybe it's cop out. But like, it's just easier to sort of talk about America because I can go home.
You're the bystander watching it.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously some people regard that as a reason why you shouldn't be allowed to talk about something. But first of all, I think that's bogus. And secondly, I addressed that in the opening line of the song because I knew that was going to be lots of people's reactions. Well, you're just English, what would you know? And it's like, okay, cool. Well, let's talk about that. I know I'm just an ignorant Englishman as the opening line. So
there you go. Direct and straight to the point.
Yes.
You're on this sellout tour of the UK at the moment. What's the rest of the summer got in mind?
We are going to the States for a while, and Canada, and all that kind of thing. We are not doing any festivals this year.
None at all?
None at all.
Globally or just in the UK?
I think we're doing one in New Jersey.
Okay.
Because it fits into a tour schedule. We're sort of driving past as it happens, so why
just
not?
Good timing.
And I mean, that's there's both personal and technical reasons for that. But I mean, this is the thing, we fooled everyone, we did, successfully, we announced the world tour. We announced like 120 shows on the same day, and everyone went, wow, it's still the hardest touring band in the world. But what people didn't notice in doing that is that we're on a new schedule now, which is, because we got 3 people with kids in the band now,
just touring the holidays, right?
Well, we do 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Oh, okay.
Which, compared to our previous schedule, I think we once did 20 months without going home.
Oh my God.
And so doing 4 weeks on and 2 weeks off is like laughably easy. So like everyone's just like, this is nothing. But people, the more adult way of saying what I'm trying to say is that like we all have reasons to go home now, which we never did before. In all my 20s, I couldn't give a damn. I just wanted to be on tour all the time.
Just wanted to be a road dog and live out the suitcase.
Yeah, and like I love touring, and it will always be a thing that I do. But I have a partner, and I have a house, and I have a cat.
Can't leave the cat behind, man.
Yeah, I'm a member of my local history society. There we go. There's a confession for you.
So is that that's going to be the next album? Is it? It's just your local history.
Maybe we'll see. But it's kind of nice because the other thing is that I realised. First of all, you can't tour like you're 20 in your 20s for your whole life. You hit your 30s and everything hurts more.
I've just turned 40. I know.
Right, yeah, exactly. So there you go. And it just gets worse.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I'm 36, so but yeah, just like I was chatting to a kid after the show last night, and he was like 26, and I was like, man, you have never had a hangover. Shut up. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I can sleep on the floor. Of course you can, because your body still works.
Yeah.
But so there are certain allowances you have to make for getting older. But also, I just sort of realised that doing one thing incessantly makes you quite boring.
Okay.
And I wanted to be the hardest touring motherfucker in the universe. I wanted to be like Henry Rollins.
Nice.
And I love Henry Rollins, but like he's a little bit of a cartoon character sometimes, or he's just Henry Rollins, and I sort of I feel like I want to have more to my life than that.
I think he's got his own lane, and he's kind of very driven in it.
I like to feel like in his. This is complete speculation because I don't know Henry at all, and I'm a huge respecter of his work. But like, I feel like actually in the last couple of years, he himself has sort of diversified his sort of interests, and he's got a partner now, I'm told, and all this kind of thing. So, and good for him. But yeah, it's just it's possible to become a little bit one-dimensional if you just do the same thing all the fucking time. So so I'm trying not to do that.
Plus, I guess you've also got to take time out to have something to write about, because else you're just going to end up writing about tour life.
Yes, I know. You can always tell the post-success album of any band because it's the one that's about touring. Because they hit the big time, and then the label put them on tour for 2 years, and then they wrote a whole bunch of songs about missing home, and that's fine because every band's allowed to write one album about missing home, and arguably I wrote 2, so don't fool me. But like at some point you have to move on. Do you know what I mean? You have to write about something else.
No, that's cool. It looks like we're getting hassled to tie up here now.
I apologise. I just have a busy day.
No, it's all good, man.
No, it's lovely to see you. Are you guys coming to the show tonight?
Yep, we'll be here.
Excellent news. As ever, I always want to say this kind of stuff. Make sure you catch the opening acts for this evening.
Yes.
Not just because they're brilliant, but the specific reason why we have Homeless Gospel Choir and Arkells on this tour is that, in all honesty, the 2 biggest musical influences on the new record were Homeless Gospel Choir and Arkells. And when we were planning the tour, I was just like, well, fuck it, let's do it. Go straight to the source, do you know what I mean? And they're both totally incredible. So I hope you enjoy them.
Cool, we'll get here early.
Excellent.
Thanks very much, Frank. That's awesome.
Lovely.
Be more kind. Hello, it's Mike here. Thanks for watching our video. Frank here. It's a great chat, and we've got lots of other interviews on our YouTube channel. So subscribe, hit the like button, and the notification bell as well. And hopefully you'll tune in and see some more interviews like the one we've just done with Frank.
Welcome to the My James Rock Show.